We are once again heading back to the Game Boy Color for another mini review thing. This one will actually make more sense and won't come across as lazy on my end because I can actually beat the first level in this game, especially the level's end boss. So, yeah, hopefully that'll make more sense. But this time we have a very fascinating gem on our hands, or in my case, in my hands. Yeah, this is actually a lesser known game that was given another shot, and that's thanks to the folks over at Limited Run Games, which, for those who are not familiar with Limited Run Games, as their name implies, yes, they do re-release lesser known and obscure gems, again, like the one I have right here. But the catch is for a limited time, so if I could best describe that kind of business philosophy, which it's not a bad thing, basically think of it as the video game distribution equivalent of a Black Friday. Like, everyone wants to get this, especially hardcore fans of game X, Y, or Z. But onto the game itself, which the cartridge for this particular version of the game is so cool. Trip World DX. This is also noteworthy for being the very first limited run purchase I've ever made in my entire life. And there is a very good reason for that. And that's because of how lesser known and obscure the game is. Alright, so the rest of this review is going to be very positive, but I have to get this out of the way. Yeah, the main reason as to why it was so obscure for an insanely long time is because, despite being made by, from what I can tell at least, a very popular video game studio, Sunsoft, from what I remember, the game did not sell well at all. Like, it was a financial bomb. I think it might have came out at the very tail end of the Game Boy's life cycle, kind of like Pokemon did. Which that actually reminds me, another game that came out near the end of the Game Boy Color's life cycle was Shantae. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Limited Run Games actually did a re-release of that game as well. Also on a Game Boy Color cartridge with the exact same cartridge art, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there was like a special limited edition release of that. But back on topic to Trip World DX. This is the exact same game as the original Game Boy version, but since it's the DX version, it has color. There is also a digital version for modern consoles, and I have that one. Well, it's digital and physical, but you get what I mean. Either way you go about that version, which I believe is on Steam, PS5 and PS4, Xbox Series S, X, like basically every modern console. It has some extras, like some behind-the-scenes documentaries and stuff like that about the game's development, and like interviews with the creator and the composer for the soundtrack and all that stuff. Just keep in mind that it's in Japanese, and that's why it has subtitles. So hopefully it's easy to follow along with. Also, pardon me, I'm having again that issue where I have to stop speaking and swallow for a little bit. I don't know what's up with that. But what I really like about the cartridge, aside from the artwork, which, yes, is wonderful, I really like this, is instead of saying Game Boy Color or Game Boy Color Nintendo, Limited Run, that's a really nice touch. Right here in this corner, intentional or not, which, considering that Limited Run love deep cut references, it would not surprise me if it was intentional. Notice how the Nintendo, I forget what that's actually called, it's like their trademark thing or whatever, is circular. This could most likely be in reference to the exact same Nintendo logo stamp thing that was used in European/PAL Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. I'd have to ask them on Twitter, but either way, intentional or not, it is a really cool reference. Doesn't stop there, though. It's probably not showing up all that well. Let me try and get it underneath my lamp so it shows up. But if you squint like I am right now, actually, you can see the words limited run on this, on like, I think it's the inside of the cartridge, like on the circuit board itself, which is a really nice touch. It reminds me of specifically the Japanese version of Pokemon Crystal. It had the crest of Suicune on the back of the circuit board itself. It doesn't say Nintendo on the Nintendo thing, like, what is that, an oval shape? Like it would on a traditional cartridge, which it's to be expected. It's a modern day Game Boy Color cartridge, kind of like how Nitro Red pointed out in his review of the N64 version of 40 Wings, how that's clearly not an official cartridge. After all, like, it's made of different plastic, which that's probably primarily due to the fact that N64 games are obviously not being made anymore, in the same way that Game Boy and Game Boy Color games are super duper not being made anymore. But I'm going to actually turn off this lamp over here. I just wanted that on to showcase the actual cartridge itself. And let's get going with the game itself. Once again, on my custom Game Boy Color. I also love this opening cinematic. It's really impressive, even all these years later, for Game Boy standards. It looks even better in color. And yes, the soundtrack is really good. Something I didn't space on per se, but I didn't really think was necessary to mention, but I will mention regardless, is that the standard version of Trip World also got re-released by Limit Run Games. It was just the standard Game Boy cartridge as opposed to the DX color version. But yes, this is Yokabu, I think is the character's name, and he can do a lot of different things. I'm not going to be able to show off every single one of his forms. Right now we're in his base form, which can actually do a kick attack. If you hold down and then press B, he turns into... is that like a narwhal or a shark? I can't remember the difference. Right now I'm flopping around, obviously. No, in water... press up when you turn back to normal. In water, he can swim a lot faster, and as a bonus, he can actually spit bubble projectiles. Up and B, when you're in your standard form, allows you to turn into... basically, you still look the same, but you have the ability of being able to fly with your ears. Kind of reminds me of how Tails flies by using his, well, tails. There are other forms that you take on in this game. Hold on. Had an itch there. It's a really, really awesome game. Oh, here's a really funny power-up. You basically... you shoot flower seeds at your foes to make them docile, I guess? It's very odd. I mean, it's effective, but it still is kind of strange. It's especially effective for enemies that are really aggressive and you want to... oh yeah, for some reason, whatever reason, you can't do it on the hedgehog dudes there. Also, them being blue, I wonder if that's a Sonic reference. That right there, let me go snag it, that is a... I don't know its actual canonical name, but that is a flower that will restore your health. Yeah, the hedgehog guys will stop if you get like anywhere close to them trying to play things safe. They're kind of annoying with when they decide to transform into their spiky form. It's kind of annoying. In the meantime, enjoy this absolutely wonderful music. Oh, now we get to see the underwater form in action. Hold on. I really like how fluid the animation for the bubble projectiles are. Like, I don't know why, it's just really fluid. I just realized how much of an unintentional bad pun that is. Shut up. But, yeah. Like I said, really fun and interesting game. Ah! Oh no! Also, that's just straight up the Mega Man Death. Like, it even sounds like the Mega Man Death sound. I had to point that out. Don't worry, I won't give up. Although the timing on these platforms is kind of unforgiving for whatever dumb reason. Let's see. Ah! That was an audio glitch there, for whatever dumb reason. Yeah, the music was still playing after I died, despite the fact that it's supposed to stop normally. Ah! Wait, can I fly over those? Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do? I think? Yeah, you're supposed to kind of button mash, basically. It's kind of inconsistent. Hey! Hey, you! Knock it off. Full health. What even are you? What is that thing? I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, the enemy designs are very creative, but like maybe too creative if I had to be honest. First boss! It's like a Tanuki thing? Ah. Got it. So yeah, that's just my brief demonstration, review, whatever, of Trip World DX. Well, the actual physical cartridge versions of the game, like say for example the Game Boy Color and Game Boy versions, are super duper out of print. Like I said, the digital version, which I'm gonna still call it that, but everyone, like I said, will probably know what I'm talking about. The one on Steam, Switch, Series XS, and PS4 and 5, that's still readily accessible. It's not like, say, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, in which it's going to get delisted. You can still play it that way. Which, by the way, as a fun fact, in that version, you can actually choose if you want to play the original or DX versions of the game. Like, that's actually a really nice touch, you know, on top of the added content, like the interviews with the developers and the composer and stuff like that. And simply having this game get another chance in the modern day just makes me really happy because, like, I just love it when games get a second chance because that's such a rare instance. I mean, like, nowadays we tend to live in a reality where, like, if it doesn't sell, like, even if it's made by a big name team, then we're not gonna try and distribute a second printing of it. And I don't get that still because, like, so many developers, so many video game companies in general, they're scared. They don't want to take risks. But ending this on a more positive note, once again, despite the fact that something I already said, I have to reiterate, I'm really happy at this thing is getting another chance in the spotlight because this is definitely a very, very obscure hidden gem. And I recommend that anyone who likes retro side-scrolling platformers that have really unique gimmicks, please give this game a shot. It's on basically everything, like I said, so please, by all means, give it a shot. And with that, this is Sir Bop-A-Lot signing out, and I will see you all next time.